Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. We're here today to talk about the agentic journey with Wursta. My name's Matt Wursta, founder and CEO of Wursta. For over a decade, our organization has been helping organizations with business transformation through technology. Today, we're going to talk about a very specific technology, agentics and agents in AI, and how they can impact your business. But before we get started, if there was only one thing I wanted you to remember, the most important message of this broadcast is the agents are coming. Seriously, folks, the agents are coming. It is our belief that agentics is going to transform the way work happens, and it's going to happen quickly. So we want you to be prepared, and we've developed our journey methodology to help you do just that. To get started, AI is driving radical transformations in how organizations operate, compete, and innovate. But many organizations, 60%, really haven't yet cracked the code, haven't figured out how to integrate AI into their business tech stack. This is a big problem. This is the gap between hyperscalers building really cool, super innovative AI-driven technologies and normal organizations who are trying to do what they do best. And this is an evolution of technology. Over the last 15 years, we've seen a focus on automation, machine learning. Suddenly, we saw generative AI explode onto the scene 18, 20 months ago. And generative AI created these new possibilities for content creation. But it isn't until very recently that we've started to see agentics, AIs that can do things in order, really step onto the scene. We think this is the dawn of the human augmentation era, where these systems can work in tandem with people to make them better. But why should you care? Well, it is a strategic imperative. You cannot maintain a competitive edge against your competitors if your competitors are beating you in agentics. One of the biggest challenges with technology is that it is often a differentiating factor across organizations. With agentic human augmentation, you're going to see a competitive edge inside your market, cost optimization, and the truth is you're going to be innovation forward. Your workforce is going to be more future ready than the other organizations who have been slower to adopt AI and agentics. I think everyone knows those things. At this point, they're almost common knowledge. How do we get there? That's the real question. Today, we see lots of organizations saying, I want a chatbot or give me some AI. The reality is, we're not seeing a ton of success. For the last 18 months or so, our team, in conjunction with Google, has worked on a 7-phase approach to AI transformation inside your organization that we call the agentic journey. It all starts with a readiness rating. The first step in any journey is to figure out where you are. It's very hard to get somewhere if you don't know where you're starting. In the readiness rating, it's an assessment to figure out and be honest about your organization and where they stand. After that, we can take that information and we can build a roadmap for the rest of the journey. In workforce augmentation, we look for the quick wins and the out-of-the-box solutions that can help your existing workforce do what they do best at work. Can't forget security and compliance and all of the appropriate governance that now is part of new AI technologies entering the workplace. Move forward into workflow enhancement, allowing us to look at bigger, broader, company-wide workflows and start to optimize their many steps with agentics. In order to do that, we often have to integrate your data. Data intelligence is a foundational step in ensuring that you have both high performance and clean data inside the organization. And then finally, agentic implementation and AI fluency really round out the program, ensuring that you are fully deployed from an agentic perspective, but also that your teams have the right proficiencies to continue to build on these technologies over time. Remember, AI, and specifically generative AI and agentics, is changing almost weekly. What powers the agentic journey with Wursta? What makes it different? We focus on people, process, and purpose. Many times we see technology being rolled out simply because it's a cool technology. Or we don't see the technology rollout teams really take into consideration the users of that technology. With our three-pronged approach throughout each of the phases and each of the sub-sprints, we find that we've got the best adoption metrics that you can get through an approach that incorporates and applies ownership to the actual individuals as well as the business. How are we successful in this? Well, within each of those steps of the agentic journey, we've built a methodology to specifically deploy agent workflows. So if you think about the journey as the long strategic vision that could run for months or years, the agentic human augmentation methodology is the sprint framework for each of the little pieces of agents that get deployed inside your organization or business. For example, in the workforce augmentation stage, we'll be working alongside the teams to actually deploy out-of-the-box AI solutions into the hands of your different organizational teams. How do we make sure they're successful? It has 6 steps. The first is team selection and user research. This is much like an SDLC process. You have to know your users and how your users use their technology today in order to give them the right ramp up into the agentic or AI technology. Second is workflow documentation. We need to work through and document what it is that we're trying to make better. And most importantly, number 3 is KPI alignment. I cannot stress enough throughout every conversation that we've had over the last 10 months, KPIs are light. People are not looking to measure, or they're not starting with the measurement in mind. We put this on the front end before we propose any solution so that we know what we're chasing. Then there's an AI solution or proposal that's put together that includes different components and technologies that we might use. The implementation happens across those teams, including a POC, depending on the team size. And then we come back around and we actually measure to see if we met our KPIs. Using these 6 steps over and over in sequence allows us to ensure that we can report back to the business our actual performance against the KPIs that we were trying to measure. Where do we see this human augmentation in action? All over the organization. There are so many different use cases, from sales to customer service, HR, marketing, software development, of course, that really see team improvement and workflow improvement using agentics and the AI tools that come with different platforms. For example, sellers or customer service agents can quickly access existing or recent support case information for existing customers, as well as synthesize public and private data available about the customers they already have to meet with, giving them an edge up in the conversation and a much broader view of what's happening whenever they actually do talk to those end customers. In marketing, AI can help you generate full campaigns from scratch, but can also help you generate the images and videos that go with it. There's so many use cases, and I wanted to highlight one of those use cases by handing it over to Frederick from OrthoFeet. Take it away, Frederick.
Hello everyone, my name is Frederick Kwame. I am the Director of IT at OrthoFeet, and today I'm going to go ahead and present to you our AI adoption framework. I joined the OrthoFeet team about 3 years ago. During that time, we had a hybrid tech stack technology where it was on-prem and also pseudo in the cloud. We decided that we needed to go ahead and determine a stable cloud foundation. And within talks within many of our leadership and executive teams, we decided that also we needed a comprehensive data warehouse. Upon establishing that comprehensive data warehouse, we understood that we could go ahead and have AI as a strategic imperative going forward, and it'll also help us address headcount concerns. Those headcount concerns in terms of adding additional employees to our workforce to take care of small tasks within our departments. Going forward to 2024, we made the decision to go ahead and move over to Google Workspace. That's when we went ahead and were introduced to the Wursta team, and they have helped us lead our Google Workspace migration, and it was very smooth. Upon going live with Google Workspace in 2024, we gained a lot of key collaboration capabilities within our departments, across from our CS team, operations, purchasing, accounting, and many more. That also brought us the capabilities of, again, hosting our comprehensive data warehouse that I spoke about. We were deciding in 2021, and we moved most of our data to BigQuery and did a lot of our data integration into BigQuery within all of our channels and within our tech stack, e-commerce to ad channels, all alike. With that, it also gave us an AI vision to boost operational efficiency going forward. Fast tracking to 2025, this is where we started to adopt Google Gemini within our organization. And one way we've pushed that adoption was through power of an hour sessions. And we also had a roadmap for many other AI implementations within our organization. Speaking on OrthoFeet's AI adoption framework, we use something called the Power of an Hour, which is basically a leadership forum, monthly meetings with executive leadership and departmental management teams, and we showcase many of Google AI tools, and we started to drive a lot of conversation within team members and within our leadership team, and that drove more of the conversation with using Google Gemini AI use cases. So it was very beneficial for us to run these type of meetings because they were optional. So you didn't have to go to them, but they were a good way to go ahead and to find new ways to push efficiency and productivity through AI. And that's how we use our Power of an Hour leadership forum. We also provided in-house educational sessions across many of our departments, accounting, operations, warehouse teams, to just show them the practical uses of AI applications. A lot of our team members are not really familiar with Gemini AI at the time, and bringing these educational sessions to them allowed them to go ahead and start to freeform think and understand what Google Gemini can provide to them as assistance to their departments, to their teams, or their individual selves. We then implemented a Gemini workflow, basically injection between our marketing and IT team and CS and operation teams. Our marketing and IT team, we specifically we specifically piloted a notebook LM in conjunction with Gemini. We used the webinar at Wursta to go ahead and provide that kind of knowledge of what Notebook LM can bring to the marketing and IT teams within OrthoFeet. Again, mentioning the Power of an Hour, this is where we went ahead and demonstrate those. And also our CS and operation teams are leveraging Google Workspace, its collaboration capabilities, and specifically to address order queries through flat files that are provided through our ERP systems, which are currently reducing phone requests from our customers. So there are a lot of use cases at OrthoFeet when using Gemini. And one use case is going ahead and summarizing invoices. A lot of members of the leadership team receive invoices from third-party vendors that they are working with, and we sometimes there are a lot of inquiries in terms of determining what those invoice amounts are. And rather than digging deep within Gmail, Matt will go ahead and show you that we can go ahead and query Gemini to go ahead and give us a summary of those invoices for specific vendors. That summary can also include not only the individual invoice amounts, but it can also go ahead and you can prompt it to give you the total amount of invoice within that specific year. Other use cases that OrthoFeet has used Gemini for is to tackle our ERP issues. We triage a lot of ERP issue requests, and within our tech stack, we have an omni-channel API that funnels a lot of our e-commerce information, data, and also our 3PL warehouse data directly over to our ERP and vice versa, and the latter. And a lot of these issues, our IT teams internally are addressing to make sure that fulfillment data is being progressed through our fulfillment track all the way down to the customer receiving the product. One thing we like to go ahead and do is provide Gemini our flat files to go ahead and make sure that our fulfillment process is working. And as you can see here, Matt has brought up one of our flat files within Gemini asking if any of the Shopify orders are not in the customer shipment table within our ERP. And as you can see, it went ahead and identified multiple orders that are not in our customer shipment, which is not a good thing for us, because that means if the order is not in the customer shipment table within our ERP, that means the order is not being picked, packed, or shipped, and our end user, which is our customer, is not receiving their order in a timely fashion. So Gemini has helped us go ahead and tackle these issues without using traditional methods through flat files, doing X lookups, etc. that take a lot of our time, and it has reduced triaging these issues going forward. A third use case is Gemini used for contract management. Multiple members of the leadership team have, again, third-party customers and third-party vendors that they work with, that they're under contract with. And a lot of the times when you receive contract files that are stored within Google Drive, sometimes the naming convention can be all different. One great use case is trying to find those contracts. To find a contract, for example, for a specific vendor, we can go ahead and, as you can see here, Matt is querying Gemini within Google Drive for a specific contract from a vendor, and within that prompt with Gemini, it has found the contract, and we can continue to have a conversation with Gemini to get more information regarding the contract that it did find. And what we can go ahead and prompt it is when the contract starts, when the contract ends, or if it has any automatic renewal date. And if it does have an automatic renewal date, when that date is. And last, if I would like to cancel the contract with the said vendor, when is the last day to communicate that over to the vendor to process the cancellation prior to automatic renewal. So that saves a lot of time for the end user at OrthoFeet, especially in the leadership team, in trying to identify where the documents are, and trying to pull information out of the document. Brings more time back in my day, including a lot of my team members on the leadership team. We also are leveraging Gemini and using Notebook LM for our marketing and HR teams. We are feeding Notebook LM data, for example, with our HR workbook. Again, there are many use cases outside of my organization, not only at OrthoFeet, where end users don't have time to read long documents to get information. So what happens in that case is sometimes the end user just wants to understand how many vacation days am I allowed, how many sick days am I allowed, when is open enrollment, and etc. And we can go ahead and feed that into Notebook LM to provide us that information. But not only that, it empowers our marketing and HR team to provide additional resources based on those the information that they provide, for example, in the HR workbook, or our marketing team to provide information within Gemini and Notebook LM to go ahead and curate training materials, and external webinar training for our third party customers or customers. So Gemini basically with that use case provides gives back again, increases productivity and gives a more efficient for our users going forward. And we also have Gemini guided Looker dashboards, and this is a very a great use case where we have a lot of our team members using Looker, which is attached to our data warehouse. And one example I can give in this use case is our accounting teams that like to develop a lot of reports. Our accounting teams come from a past method of downloading raw data and comparing those reports using legacy methods, again, through Excel or other flat files, mining that data and providing those flat files and exporting them out to the rest of the team. Now we are using Looker, and within Looker, we've enabled our team members to go ahead and to develop these dashboards, these static dashboards that can be distributed to multiple team members. Unfortunately, a lot of these end users that are using Looker are not very advanced, and Gemini has enabled those team members to go ahead and develop the dashboards with little assistance from our IT departments. They, for example, they can go ahead and have Gemini help them develop dashboards that show aging from 30 to 90 days for our accounting teams, or identify accounts that are restricted to make orders based on our credit terms, and etc. So that has really empowered our team to go ahead and get information in a quick fashion, just by providing natural language to Gemini, and Gemini provides them that assistance. And last but not least, with all the use cases that are presented here, it has helped reduce support tickets and volume and time to close. And I'm a bit biased to this as being the IT director, because we do receive a lot of requests with a lot of these use cases here. Simply being that our team is not they are not they don't have the tools to go or the knowledge to go ahead and get that information. Gemini has helped them empower themselves rather than putting in the support ticket, and statistically has reduced our overall ticket usage by half, which is good. And we're looking to go ahead and hopefully in the near future see that progress even further. So what's our vision for the future? We want to go ahead and scale our AI enablement. So what we're doing is we're providing more Gemini training programs across our several departments and teams to accelerate the adoption and the confidence. Again, I'm sure many of you have heard time and before from individuals within your organizations stating that, you know, I'm afraid to use AI, or I'm afraid to use
a Gemini. I'm not too sure what it's going to provide me. Is it going to go ahead and replace my job? And these are the kind of training programs that we push across internally to our departments to go ahead and ease that kind of concern. And with that, it brings a lot of smile to people's faces, and that helps accelerate the adoption of Gemini throughout our organization. We are looking to go ahead and optimize our fulfillment infrastructure. We're already doing that with Gemini, but we're also looking to use other AI tools that in conjunction with Gemini, for example, Agent Space, will go ahead and help empower our IT and customer service teams currently right now. We're also looking to go ahead and expand it to other teams, but one way it will help empower our IT and customer service teams is in tracking orders end to end. If you remember before in some of the use cases that I've presented in the previous slide, we have the question comes time and again, where's my order? Where is it within the fulfillment track? And what we're going to have Agent Space empower the end user, especially at the customer service team, is to ask that question with natural language to determine exactly what is going on with the order. But not only to go ahead and determine where it is on the fulfillment track, but to go ahead and determine if there are any issues with the order, technical or operationally. And it will provide that information to the customer service team in real time and put more smiles on our customers when giving them that information and engage and show them that we are engaged in trying to resolve their issues within a timely manner. And then last, we're looking in the future to go ahead and strengthen our forecasting and product planning. We're looking to develop internal PLM systems, which stands for Project Lifecycle Management Systems, and integrate our demand forecasting tools with AI and Gemini going forward. This is going to enable many of our departments, like purchasing, in terms of, again, our demand forecasts, and in determining how many shoes should be in a warehouse when it comes to pre-orders of a new shoe that is coming out for within our lines, and then also enabling our product teams to have a full life cycle management system that's embedded with AI to help us understand the development of all our projects from point A all the way to Z when it comes to fully deploying it out to our customers on our website. That's it.
It's important to know that no one use case with AI is going to fit in the same way that you could have a use case in the past. Every business has the opportunity to customize for what they believe is the best approach to their business problem using Agentics in this AI solution package. So let's talk about moving through the journey. Remember, the journey is the grand or large strategic plan. It all starts with your Agentic readiness rating. This is a baseline assessment. Remember, it's a collaborative approach that we work together with your team to figure out where you are today. We'll look at the organizational structure, roles, technologies, any existing software. We'll look at departmental functions and the business workflows that happen across the organization. What are the key drivers of revenue? What are the things that make the business work? We'll go through an analysis and validation stage, and we'll build out a process map and a few other things that'll really allow us to have a great proposal framework and discussion around where you are today. And then finally, it pulls together into one large deliverable document which says, here's what we found, here's where we think your technologies are, and here's the roadmap for change that will allow you to be Agentic ready and then adopt Agentic AI across the organization. This stage is crucial. If you don't know where you are, it's very hard to get where you're going. In the second stage, workforce augmentation, this is where we set the foundation for your AI transformation. This is about platforming your users. This is about getting folks into a position where they have the tools and the technologies integrated appropriately so that they can begin to harness and leverage the powerful benefits of AI and agentics. Inside this workforce augmentation, we'll get centered on a platform. We'll start to do some of those agentic human augmentation sprints, and we'll go through each time and deliver a report against the KPIs that we choose for the teams as they're being deployed. In some cases, this does require a replatforming. We think that Google Workspace, for example, is one of the best, most cross-integrated AI core adoption platforms. And so there could be some traditional IT projects involved here, like a migration. But instead of just lifting the data that you have, a lift and shift, our goal is to do this in conjunction with our agentic human augmentation methodology so that as your users land in this new platform, they're landing already enabled or with enablement strategies in place as part of their onboarding. Very closely coupled with that is stage 3. Ensuring responsible ethics in AI and having the right security and compliance programs in place is terribly important. We can't overlook this, and it becomes part of the platforming discussion as you move users in. We need to make sure that your overall organization has had a proper security health check. We look at your data and AI policies as well as the governance framework that you use internally, both in the legal perspective, but also from compliance. And finally, we would advise on the creation of an AI ethics and accountability platform so that your organization has a framework to make decisions about AI in the future. As we move forward and the platform is secure, we can start to look at larger process integration across the organization. From this perspective, we're looking at big workflows that drive the business. How can we take these multi-step, multi-party, multi-department workflows and start to incorporate agentics from a more platform level so that you can have quick wins and you can drive business outcomes, again, all anchored on those KPIs. We also begin the long journey of the cultural switch towards innovation, encouraging users to bring forward ideas and actually participate in the creation of these platforms and programs. In order to do that, however, we need to make sure that the data available for these agentic platforms is clean and high performance. Most organizations have data in many places. Some have wonderful data lakes already put together. In either case, working through and identifying where any shortcomings might be or where the data is already ready will allow us to prioritize those workflow enhancements and put the project pipeline in place to ensure that your data is high performance when it's needed. In this stage, you'll see things like a data inventory and quality report. We may do some AI prototyping to make sure that we can actually deploy against that data from an AI and agent perspective. And of course, a recommendation on what changes may need to be made. In the final 2 stages of the journey, you've now matured your organization into agentics and AI. Your workforce and your teams are enabled. They're on a stable and AI-driven platform, and they have agentic workflows deployed throughout the organization. Now we start talking about scaling for enterprise-wide impact. These are big agentic frameworks, really, throughout the organization that include multiple workflows and optimizations and really focus on the core business functions. Whereas in the beginning, we're talking about making your people a little bit more performance or a little bit more KPI oriented from agentics perspective. When we get to the more mature stages of the journey, we're building AI solutions to actually drive new workloads inside the business. As with everything we do, we'll be using the same framework which allows us to select the KPIs and pilot these programs before they deploy into full production. We want to make sure that every time we can show business value either by value generation or by cost optimization. And finally, when we're all said and done, your organization has to be on a path of continuous and sustained evolution. This adaptive AI fluency throughout the organization is empowered individuals, teams, and committees that can drive agentic solutions in the future as the tools change. Protected by your security and compliance programs and your AI ethics guidelines, the teams throughout the organization can begin to build out all of the things that you need for the future on their own or with some help from a technical expert or resource organization. Now let's focus on the agentic human augmentation methodology. This is the specific sprint methodology used throughout the journey process. It is a results-oriented process that allows us to get through implementation and demonstrate results each time, as opposed to waiting or wondering whether or not the agentic implementation has made sense. First and foremost, we have to go through user research with the teams. If you're going to deploy a new workflow or a new tool into the team, you have to understand that team. This is very similar to the user research you would do if you were going to build a new application or rebuild or refactor an application. Not only do you need to know what the application does technically, but you also need to understand how it's used and what the end user profile is. In addition to that, you need to understand the workflow. So a comprehensive workflow maps highlighting AI insertion points and a deep understanding of what the teams use that workflow for, as well as the adjacent teams that may use the outputs, helps make sure that you don't deploy an AI or an agent solution that doesn't make sense in the long run. And finally, most importantly, establishing a KPI framework and understanding what you're building for. I can't stress this enough. We have so many organizations that will come to us and say, I want a chatbot. And our first response is, why? I want the data to be available more quickly. Why? Well, because my support team struggles to find it. Why? When we finally get through this conversation, we land on specific metrics like, I want a chatbot that's AI enabled so that I can get my first call resolution up from 40% to 50%. That's a measurable KPI. That's a framework we can build for. By doing this, we ensure that we know what we're looking at, and we ensure that we can measure it accurately at the end of the process. Next, our team puts together an AI solution and works collaboratively with the organization to ensure that we haven't missed anything. The solution doesn't just include a technical solution, but also a change management strategy for adoption. This stems from the user research. If we know who the users are, we understand their persona, and we understand how they use the technology previously, we can build a technology and agentic-driven solution to integrate into that workflow, and we can also build a training and change management strategy to make sure they can use it well. Once the strategy is approved, we'll go through the implementation. Implementation is often one of the longest parts of this process because it has so many key deliverables. For example, we might do a POC or pilot. We want to make sure that the rollout is successful and that the training materials is well received. Of course, there may be a deployment or an implementation for the actual AI tool. And then we have all of our end user training and any support training that may have to happen along the way. But we're not done there. The job isn't complete until we can go back and look at the KPIs that we said we were going to measure, in our example, first call resolution, and make sure that we track that performance as well as any other performance indicators that we agreed on. By doing this, we can really determine whether deploying the agents into the workplace have been successful, but also the dollar value impact for the business. As you look to build a roadmap for the future of AI, you're going to want to have this information as you start to engage with your executive groups and boards. So, if you're ready to unlock your agentic potential, we can take the first steps through with an optimized readiness assessment specific for you. This would include, as we talked about, organizational analysis, workflow analysis, security assessment, data, and of course, a human capital or workforce assessment. In that initial readiness assessment, you get delivered a proposal that, for all intents and purposes, is set to guide you. You may want to use it internally. You may hire your own development or change management teams. That's okay. The whole point is to give you a grounding of where you are so that you understand and have a baseline to begin from. I hope this session was valuable. It really outlines how we're thinking about the agentic journey at Wursta It's a journey that everyone should be on. Remember, the agents are coming. Even if you don't want them to, even if you're uncomfortable, much like the cell phones, internet, it's going to happen. So we believe that a structured, metrics-driven approach to having a strategic agentic journey for your organization is the best possible way to do it.